Good evening and welcome. Let's start this bulletin with Georgia. This was one of the key battleground states that has been closely watched for results that could name the winner in the U.S. election. Now, as the votes were counted, it was being called too close to call. Of the slightly more than 5 million votes, the margin is now only a few thousand between the two candidates. Gabrielle Sterling, who is Georgia State's voting system implementation manager, has now officially announced that there will be a recount in the state.
As of 10 a.m., there were a little under 5,500 votes left to be counted in Gwinnett, Floyd, Cherokee, and Cobb County. In addition, there are 8,890 military ballots outstanding that will be counted if they were returned by the close of business today. Right now, Georgia remains too close to call. Out of approximately 5 million votes cast, we'll have a margin of a few thousand. The focus for our office and for the county election officials for now remains on making sure that every legal vote is counted and recorded accurately. As we are closing in on a final count, we can begin to look toward our next steps. With a margin that small, there will be a recount in Georgia.
Joe Biden is taking a lead in the state of Georgia, while the vote share of both Biden and Trump is 49.4%. Biden is leading by 917 votes. Now remember, the state of Georgia has 16 electoral states. Georgia is also a state that Trump cannot afford to lose. Biden's mail-in ballot advantage has pulled him up on scoreboard as results came in from Fulton County around Atlanta, with 99% of the state vote counted. Reports. And Trump cannot find a way to the 270 electoral votes without Georgia and Pennsylvania. So his chances of securing re-election will hinge on the developments in these two states in the coming hours. However, the state isn't sealed yet, and we may not get a call for a while. This is a very close competition along a Republican stronghold. Southern Georgia has recently become more of a battleground state due to its growing black electorate. Georgia last voted for a Democratic president in 1992, with Bill Clinton taking 43.47% of the vote to George H.W. Bush's 42.88%. With Joe Biden chipping away at Trump's leads in states crucial to any chance of the president getting the 270 electoral votes, if Biden holds his lead and wins the state of Georgia, Trump's hopes of retaining the White House will be dashed, and Joe Biden will be declared the president-elect. Now, for more on this, Sarah Walton is joining us live from New York. Thank you for being with us. Now, we have just received the update that Georgia is going to be recounting. And we know that with a margin of less than 0.5% of the votes cast, that a request must be made in 2 days of this result being certified. Different states have different rules. With this being a recount now in Georgia, are we expecting recounts in other outstanding states?
I mean, I think that will come down to how close other states end up being. You heard about a day or so ago that Donald Trump's campaign group said that they were going to ask for a recount in Wisconsin. But if we look back at electoral history in the United States, recounts don't tend to lead to massively different results. Wisconsin did have a recount in the 2016 election where Donald Trump narrowly won that state over Hillary Clinton. What that recount found was a couple of hundred more votes, which also went to Donald Trump. So, I mean, even with narrow margins of, what are we, around 1,000 votes really in it in Georgia at the moment, it may not be that a recount could overturn anything larger than that. So in other states that are coming in, I mean, if you look at some of the results now at the moment, I mean, Pennsylvania, Joe Biden currently has a lead of about 6,000 votes. It's much larger at the moment in Nevada and Arizona. Certainly something like Arizona at the moment, Joe Biden leading by about 43,000 votes. That is not the kind of margin that is likely to be overturned with a recount. And of course, a recount in somewhere like Georgia is not going to help Donald Trump if he can't win Pennsylvania. If Joe Biden wins Pennsylvania, then it is all over, no matter what happens with recounts.
Absolutely. But Trump has made it clear that it is not just the recount that is the only avenue available to him. He has said that he will be going to the courts and taking it further that way. What do we make of the legalities of this?
Well, I think you've got lawyers right across the United States looking at that right now. We had a statement from the Trump campaign earlier saying that they believe, particularly in Pennsylvania and Nevada, there are irregularities and improperly cast ballots. We've seen press conferences given by representatives, lawyers representing the president and Republican groups across the country. But they've yet to present any evidence, and at least one legal challenge that's been brought has been thrown out by the judge that it was brought before, because he said that the lawyers representing the Republican groups there had simply not made a case. They hadn't presented any solid evidence that there was any wrongdoing. President Trump himself, when he gave a speech in the White House last night in the United States, he said he intended to go to the Supreme Court to challenge the results. I mean, that's not the way that the legal system in the United States does work. It has to go through lower courts first. So that is potentially what the Trump administration would be attempting to do. But as I say, as yet, they are yet to bring any solid evidence of the irregularities they are claiming.
Absolutely. And now we know that protests are going on in various parts of the country. And with Trump's rhetoric of claiming that votes have been rigged and they are stealing the election, this is very divisive talk, very divisive rhetoric from Trump in an already divided America.
Yeah, people here are very concerned about what may occur in the streets in the next few days. We've seen, particularly in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, where some really crucial votes are being counted. There have been protests outside the convention centre where those counts are happening, and actually the police are investigating what they believe was a plan for an attack on that convention centre. One person has been arrested. But I mean, even here in New York, this is a state that voted very clearly for Joe Biden, but coming through the centre of New York, there are still many shops and buildings that are boarded up. And if there is more, if this does become more contentious, I think there is a real worry that it will begin to lead to tensions on the street.
Absolutely, Sarah. Thank you very much for bringing us all the latest out of New York.